you're probably wondering what I've been doing lately, other than ranting about welfare and disability. Yeah, if you truly can't work, you deserve disability. I mean, if you worked really hard and got hurt and got disability, that's fine. If you're mentally retarded or something like that, that you cannot work, I mean, to the point where you're so retarded that you can't work, you deserve disability. Wendy's food markets always had mentally challenged people working in their restaurants, sweeping floors, taking out garbage and stuff like that. So, you know, there are companies that do hire mentally handicapped people. Yeah. The guy that bitched and said he was, you know, disabled, you have a skill. You really do. You can read and you can comment. That means you can type. Therefore, you can do clerical work. So, don't tell me you can't work. You got a computer. You're doing your thing. Go get trained to become a secretary or some kind of something or other instead of bitching about being stuck on welfare. You're not stuck on welfare unless you want to be there. Welfare is too easy to get. Disability has gotten easier to get in the last 5 years. And I'm so sorry, but I think there's something you can do. There are people out there that are disabled to the point where they cannot, whether it's being on too much pain that they can't function, can't sit long enough to be in clerical work, or whatever it is. So, double amputees, I'm sorry, that, you know, I feel sorry for people that are double amputees, but I don't know what they amputated, whether they amputated your arms or legs. I mean, if they amputated your legs, there should be no problem with getting a job. I mean, especially if you're in clerical work or secretarial work, because your arms and hands still work, so I don't know. But anyways, that's not really what this video is about. The video is about the crap that I've been going through and why I went to Lancaster. As you can see here on the floor, there is parts. Not these parts, but these parts. The parts in this box are worth about $1,000 because I just had to pay for them. Yeah. Tim, don't touch my parts. Why are you touching my parts?
I want to look at it.
Well, look with your eyes, not with your hands.
I can't look at the...
Yes, you can. Your eyes look, unless you're handicapped. Can't help yourself? Anyways, this is for my grain platform, which I'm going to show you in a couple minutes as to why I need those parts for the grain platform. Oh, I can show you right now. Check this out. This is what the intelligence of somebody in Ohio had. They welded the clutch plate to the sprocket. And I'll show you what it caused in a minute. Okay, so what's missing here? I can cut beans, but I can't get them to the center of the feeder house, obviously.
I was thinking of
oh, there it is. So as I'm walking up to this thing, I'll just tell you, I'm sorry about my video quality, sound quality. This is a GoPro Hero 2 camera. Seems to be the only thing that I have that'll work on my Apple computer right now, because my Sony is just a cheap piece of shit, and I'll be buying a Canon, I believe. So anyhow, here's the auger. This is the original auger that was in this combine, but that piece in the middle there is new. Oh, I'm on the other side here. Now let me climb up there. Oh, there it is. There it is. They cut that to get that out of there. What happened was, because that clutch being welded like that, my feeder house shear bolt broke, or key broke, not shear bolt, but a key broke, and the feeder house wasn't working, and all the beans that was in this. Okay, so it's time to figure out why in the heck that header crushed, which I know why. But here's the problem. Up in here on this feeder house, there's a keyed shaft, this guy. And there's where the key goes. And I can see pieces of it sticking out of there. Maybe that's just dirt. This sprocket's fairly new, because I replaced it once. But that keyway is very weak. Now, if I was a jackass, I would just weld this, which I'm not going to do because I'm not technically a jackass. But what I am going to do is I'm going to weld in a key. I'm going to make a key to fit that thing, and I'm going to weld it into the shaft because the shaft is already having some problems. So what I'm going to do is get this chain off of here, and then I'm going to get this off of here, and I'll show you exactly what I mean when I get that shaft, when I get that sprocket off the shaft. So here we go. Yeah, 105, huh? Alright, sometimes things don't go as planned, and you got to bring out the puller. So I got this great big, it's actually a 3-jaw puller, but I've made it a 2 for today, because 3 jaws are just kind of pointless for what I'm doing here. And I'm just gonna use this piece of crap ratchet that Timothy has, and just ratchet that sucker off of there. Because I can't get my impact gun between the tire and there, so that's why I'm doing that. Well, I'll just kind of get this off of here real quick, maybe. I don't know, I'm getting weak in my old age or something. This is getting hard. Yeah. Oh, come on. Come on. Alright, I'll shut it off and get back to you. But anyway, this shaft here is in such bad shape. As you can see, it's kind of hogged over, and it's been gouged out by the key when it cracks off. The keyhole is so hogged out that it will never amount to anything, as you can see there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually weld it fast. This shaft is pretty much history anyway, for the simple fact that it's so worn here, there's no repairing it. So and the other thing is, I wouldn't do it if it wasn't protected. That keyway is not a shear key. It is just a keyway to hold that thing solid. This is the slip clutch for that. So if there was any major obstruction there, instead of breaking that key off and causing me a whole world of bullshit, this slip clutch would actually slip, and I would hear it and everything would stop, and you know, it's not going to twist that shaft off. Anyways, even if it does twist the shaft off, what does it matter? That shaft is junk and needs to be replaced. But I just want to get through the season without having to replace that shaft. So here we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the keyway in, and I'm going to tack weld it on either side, there and there. And then I'm going to slide the shaft onto it, or the sprocket onto it, and I'm only going to weld the outside of the shaft to the sprocket. So if it does break anything, it'll just break the weld away from the shaft there, instead of actually twisting the shaft off. So yeah, so before I do any of the welding, I will have on this sprocket, there's 2 set screws there. I'm going to crank them down as tight as I can get them so that they're solid against here, and they won't want to move the sprocket on the shaft and cause the weld to crack anyway. So I think I got my bases covered on that one. Oh yes, and I did cover the microphone. I'm so sorry. This is my GoPro camera, by the way. I just haven't been to a store to buy a better camera to run on my Apple computer, which is driving me slightly crazy, by the way. Alright, so I almost made a half-assed video here, but anyway, this is what I've done. I got my chains and everything are oiled. Greased the slip clutch. This feeder house is protected by a slip clutch. So because that shaft was so bad, what I did, and don't talk about my welding because it does look kind of crappy. You know, it's a little bit blobular, but it worked out okay. What I did was I welded the key in place inside there, then I ground the sides of it down so that the keyway is solid in the shaft, because that's what the whole problem is. The shaft is hogged out and the keyway is flipping around in there. So I welded that in there, and then I slid this on. Now this slid right on, and it was pretty loose, so I wasn't too thrilled about that. So then I tightened up these set bolts here, and of course you can see that I welded it to the end of the shaft. Now, in the event that there is a failure here or something jams up my feeder house, that slip clutch right there will stop everything from moving. It'll just go clunk, 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 just and make a lot of noise, but it'll work. At least it's supposed to work. So the slip clutch is there to protect this thing. All right, so that being said, I'm not really worried about this being welded on here. Now, I went around this thing 3 times. I did the initial weld in the center along the seam between the sprocket and the shaft, and then I did the outer one, which will give me a little, built it up on the outer side of this sprocket, and then I went ahead and I did the final circle on the inside on the shaft so that it's built up and there's enough metal there that it'll hold it securely. Now, if that thing decides one day that it's going to break off of there, it's not going to twist the shaft off. It's just going to twist off this weld that I put in there, and more than likely it'll shear the keyway that I have welded in there. But I don't think that's going to be a problem, because technically that is not supposed to be loose on there at all, and it is not a safety. It is just a keyway that hogged out and got weak and, you know, just made a mess. So anyways, with that being said, I've got all the chains oiled with open gear oil, because it's like tar. This stuff, it's really liquid at first, and then it gets like tar. It's a really heavy open gear grease. So I use that to make sure that I'm lubricated throughout the, you know, in between services. I've greased everything, so it's ready to go to the field, other than the header that I'm having major issues with. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and put the shield back on there, and we'll take a shot of that when I'm done. And yeah, thanks for watching.